Okay, so today we're going to begin our look at what are called box and whisker plots. And to make or create a box and whisker plot, we must first have that 5-number summary. And then we're going to draw our plots from that. And we're going to start by just drawing one, okay, and labeling it with just the words. So don't worry about, and then later we're going to look at some and we're going to be putting in the numbers. So let's talk about what it looks like. So we're going to have a number line, okay? And that number line, guys, will have all of your data on it. So remember that it can start at 0, it can start at 20, it starts wherever it starts, right? Wherever your data starts. Then above that, you're going to have a box. All right, hold on, don't draw the box. Never mind. You're going to have another line. And in the middle-ish, somewhere, you're going to have the number in the middle of the set, which is called the what? Median. Down here at the bottom, you're going to have the, what do you think? Minimum. At the top, you're going to have the maximum. In between the minimum and median, you have Q1. And in between median and maximum, you have Q3. Right? So what you've done is you've just split up the line that represents the length of your data. Now, this is not the number line. This thing is above the number line, but it's going to line up with the numbers on the number line to show you where your data is. And the information between Q1 and Q3 is so important that it's enclosed in a box. And to show that these are the ends of the data, we put little lines on those two as well. And if you look at what we've just done, we've just created a box with 2 whiskers. Get it out of your system. All right, so on either end you have whiskers, and in the middle you have your box. Inside the box, what is that line inside the... Yeah, the line inside the box always represents the median. The ends of the box, it starts at what? Q1 and ends at Q3. And then your beginning of the whisker is the minimum and the end of your whisker is your maximum. Pretty straightforward? Okay? So what we're going to do first is we're going to look at a couple of exercises where all we're going to do is read what the minimum is, Q1, Q blah, 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 by looking at a box and whisker plot. Okay? So we're not going to create them right now. We're just going to read from one and then find out what the numbers are. Okay. So we've looked at the summaries. Let's apply it to the box and whisker plot. So here we go. Here's an example. Now, the box and whisker that they've drawn is the thing in green, and it's got about 700 million things on it that you don't need, but that's okay. And notice that when I drew the original one, I drew like perfect world scenario where they were exactly even. But if you look at this one, you'll notice that this whisker is a lot longer than this whisker, isn't it? Okay? And this one, the median is in the middle, but it doesn't have to be. It could just as easily have been over here. Okay? So they can move around. The box and whiskers aren't going to be always perfectly symmetrical, always the same. They can be bigger and smaller depending on your data, right? So remember like the bar charts, they're either taller or shorter depending on how much data you had. So these can move around too. But you're always going to have the same pieces of information. So what we want you to do is simply pull out this information. So first, we need a minimum. And so where does this first tail end? What number? 25. So our minimum is 25. So you're just going to go down from the line and read the number. Then we want a Q1 is our next thing. Q1 is the lower quartile, which is the beginning of the box. So it's right there at what number? 75. Then we have a median. Median is the next thing. And what's the median of this set of data? 100. Then we have Q3, which is right here. So what's that? 105. And finally, we have the end number, which is the maximum, which is 150 in this case. Could it be any easier? Yeah? All you're doing is just drawing the line, finishing the line on down, and it'll be a lot easier when they don't have all those fingers pointing at everything. Okay? So it's just a visual way of representing the 5-number summary for your data. Okay? Because if you just had a chart with a bunch of numbers on it, that doesn't make as much sense as if you get to see it, right? We get to really see how far spread apart they are, how close they are together, etc. And we're going to talk about how to analyze them later. Okay? So let's just walk through this. They're just going to take us through. So here we go. We have a box and whisker that represents the height of the mountains over 500 meters in Bhutan. Find the minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, and the maximums. So what I want to do is, I'm going to pause this for a moment, and then I'm going to... So what we're doing, if you remember, is we're dividing the number into 4 pieces. The data set, I'm sorry. We have this piece, this piece, this piece, and this piece. So that's 4 distinct sections. And even though they're not all the same length, they contain the same amount of information. So let me explain what I mean. All of these classrooms up and down this hall are the same size, yes? Does that mean they all have the same number of students in them?
No.
No. So if I take some students out, does that make the room smaller? No.
It makes the people
yeah, okay. Exactly. The stuff in it is smaller. So even if... So what happens here is they're still equal sizes. Even if they're longer, that just means they're more spread out. Okay? It's a bigger room. So let's say, okay, let's do it a different way. Say every room in this school had 25 students in it. Are some rooms bigger than others?
Yes.
So if I put 25 people in W8, they're going to be very spread out. Yes? I could spread them out a lot big. Yeah? But what if I put the drama room? What if I put 25 people in Miss Dustin's office? What would happen? They're very squished together, right? But there's still 25 people, aren't there? Okay? And that's what's happening here. Each one of these is dividing it in half because the median divides the number of data sets in half, doesn't it? So when you're thinking about these, each one of these is 1/4 of the data because there are 4 sections, yes? And 1/4 is the same as saying 25%. Okay? Which makes the whole thing 100% because it's the whole set is always 100%. So the median separates it into 2 sides of 50%. Yes? Okay? So, and each one of these quarters is called a quartile. Does that make sense? A quarter, a quartile? So what they want you to do is they want you to see where is the upper quartile on the box and whisker plot. So we have lower, and we have what? Upper. Remember those? Q3? So right in there. Okay? Now, let's look at what they look like, because they may be wanting values. I'm not sure what they want. Let me just check the question and see. Okay? So the upper quartile, they just want the value. So the upper quartile is Q3. Remember that? Q3 is the largest quartile we found, and it's right there. Now, we can't read a value very easily from there because it's between 2 numbers. So you just, kind of estimate. Yeah. So like 3.3 probably or so. Okay? All right. So what if they wanted the median? Where's that? In the middle of the box there?
In the middle thingy.
What's this one?
The
Q1, or also known as the lower quartile? What's this?
The minimum.
This one? Maximum. Okay? So we're just practicing the terminology. Okay, good. So let's look at how to draw a box and whisker plot. So pay attention, you're going to have to do this. Now again, remember, we have those numbers, those summaries, and each one of those lines represents a piece on your Box and Whisker plot. Yeah? So here we go. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remember what each piece does, right? We have the box and the whiskers. We have a minimum, lower quartile, also known as Q1, median, upper quartile, also known as Q3, and maximum value. That's our 5-number summary. So let's look and see how one is built. So here we have some data, okay, of some albatross. They put them in order. They found the minimum, lower quartile, etc. for all the set. Those numbers. Remember how we did that one. So now, all they did was they simply went on their graph and plotted each one. And again, they're using a graph with just some numbers because some of these values fall between, which is no big deal. You can estimate where they are. Okay? Then, we're just going to draw little vertical lines for each one of them. And connect from lower quartile to upper quartile with a what? With a box. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Just put a box around those. And that's all there is to it. Okay? So let's build some. So everybody knows an upside down cat.
What?
Okay.
It's like a hug bag.
So look at this one. The median value of 10 is missing on the Box and Whisker plot. So we need to complete the median. Where does the median going to go? Inside the box, right? And what did they say the median is in this case? So you're just going to go above 10 and draw a line.
Yeah.
Okay? Now notice, it's not equal over here, is it? Okay? They're very rarely equal. Usually the whiskers are not the same length and the pieces of the box are not the same length. You put them where your numbers are. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, we can read a lot of information from a Box and Whisker plot. So we're going to learn how to draw them. We already have the pieces. Then we're going to learn how to read them. Okay? So all that means is just finding the mean, median, the median, etc. So where's the median in this one? 10. There you go. Good. So you're just going to ask you to read it. Okay? The range. Now, have we talked about range in this class?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Range means to do what? Maximum minus minimum. Okay? So what is the maximum of this data set? 30. What is the minimum?
0.
No, that's the number line. Here's the minimum. 5. So which gives us a range of what? 25. Good. So pay attention. Okay? Interquartile range is not one that we've talked about. So let's define it. Interquartile range is simply Q3 minus Q1. This is the interquartile range. That the box is the interquartile range. Okay? So it's just Q3 minus Q1. So in this case, what's Q3? 80 minus what's Q1? Which gives us an interquartile range of what? 20. 80 minus 60. 20. Okay? All right. Okay? And so you're going to read some. So you're going to have to build some and you're going to have to read some. Right? Just pulling information off. So the only thing new here today is the interquartile range, and that is Q3 minus what? Q1. So let's get some homework started for you.